It's a hard ticket at the movies. Which one will you watch? Let's decide. It's a hard ticket at the movies.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hard Ticket, the show where we go to the movies expecting a double feature, only to find that both movies are playing at the exact same time. So, now we've got a hard ticket to choose between the two of them. I'm Jeff Bogus.
And I'm Tristan Moore.
And this is our post-Oscars episode that we are still talking about one last little remnant that we got to get out of the way. The Best Picture winner of 2026. If you want to hear our thoughts, you can listen back to our Ticket Stubs episode where we sort of came hot off the heels of the Oscars. But now we're looking back, looking in the rear view mirror. We're going to finally put 2026 to bed, because why are we still talking about movies from last year when The Bride is already out? What else came out?
We're going to be putting 2025 to bed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm good to go to bed early this year if you are. I don't know. Actually,
Yeah.
I've only seen 2 movies this year, and I only really enjoyed one of them.
Which one was that?
It was Hoppers. I loved Hoppers. It was a good time.
The animated movie?
Yeah, the Pixar movie.
Oh, wow.
Which handedly comes in hand today. Tristan, I'm going to hand it off to you. Option number A.
Give him a hand, folks. Option number A, it's Finding Nemo.
That's a classic, right?
Yes, it's a goddamn classic. Came out in 2003. It won Best Animated Picture.
It did win. It was the first Pixar movie to win Best Animated Picture. The award was still very young at that time.
Yeah. It had only been going for 2 years?
I believe 2 years. Yeah, it was the second. I think it was the second winner. The first winner being Shrek previously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're waiting to hear see my reaction to that?
Yeah.
And my reaction was mild amusement.
You didn't see him, folks, though. His hands went on his head.
That's true. My mouth was agape.
He looked like a reactive.
Finding Nemo was directed by Andrew Stanton.
Yes.
Andrew Stanton, famous for WALL-E.
Yes, directed WALL-E.
Yeah, probably. I think that's my favorite Pixar.
I think a lot of people look at WALL-E as sort of a send-off of that, like, sort of...
That era?
Yeah, that era of
Yeah.
Pixar, I would say.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. He's also directing the upcoming Toy Story 5.
Which could be good. It's got an interesting premise, I think, as somebody who wasn't crazy about Toy Story 4.
Finding Nemo, what's it about? Take a wild guess.
There are 3 trillion... How many fish are in the ocean?
There are 4 trillion fish in the sea. They're looking for one.
They're looking for one.
It's about a father named Marlin,
Yes.
who is a clownfish.
Not a marlin.
No. And his entire brood of baby fish fry and his wife, his clownfish wife, are massacred by a barracuda, leaving only one little tiny fish left.
In the first 5 minutes of this movie.
The first 5 minutes of this movie, yeah. It's one of the most brutal Pixar openings.
I will say it was co-written by Bob Peterson, who co-wrote on Up.
That makes 100% sense, yeah. My sister to this day cannot listen to Married Life, like that Michael Giacchino soundtrack without just bursting into tears.
Epic score.
Yeah. So Marlin's sole surviving offspring on his very first day of school, his first day going out into the real world, is captured by divers.
Yes.
And put into a Sydney dentist's fish tank.
Yes.
And so Marlin must embark on an odyssey to rescue his son from the fish tank, while Nemo, his son, tries to escape the fish tank and meet him, I guess, sort of halfway.
Right.
Along the way, Marlin meets Dory, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres.
Who unfortunately does a fantastic job.
Who is unfortunately one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah.
He meets Dory, who is I can't remember what type of fish she is. All I know is that she's forgetful, which I guess is appropriate because I forgot what type of fish she is.
Well, I think a lot of people look at that fish now and they just call it the Dory fish.
It's the Dory
honestly.
fish.
Yeah.
It's the one that you see in your Petco and you're like, I want to take that Dory fish home.
Yeah.
He meets Dory, and Marlin and Dory go on like I said, an ocean odyssey. They encounter vegetarian sharks and a forest of jellyfish and a really cool turtle. And it's a fun movie. It's an odyssey movie. It's a road movie. It's about a father trying to get his son, and it pairs perfectly, allegedly, with option number B, Jeff.
That's correct. Anybody who's familiar with 2025 in film has heard of One Battle After Another, probably because it just won for Best Picture at the 2026 Academy Awards. This is a movie written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, famous for There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, Licorice Pizza a couple years ago. Prolific director, incredible filmmaker. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Bob Ferguson, who was an ex-revolutionary who ran around with Perfidia Beverly Hills back in the day, played by Tiana Taylor, as part of a revolutionary group called the French 75. They used to shit up in California. They used to free detained immigrants and take out power grids. And really, there's a lot of talk about power. They wanted to stick it to the man in a pretty generalized sense. But 16 years later, Leo is the single father of Perfidia's baby, who he has raised as his own, as her supposed father as well. That baby is now a teenager, Willa Ferguson, played by Chase Infinity, who goes to a school dance and realizes that shit's about to go down. Bob's past is coming to get him in the form of Sean Penn's Colonel Stephen Lockjaw.
Hell yeah.
Who plays a very memorable villain who just won for Best Supporting Actor. And Lockjaw is trying to hunt them down. He's trying to gather them up. And so as they are separated, they go on sort of a odyssey to try to find each other and survive the trip and not get, put in the ground by Lockjaw.
Yeah.
That's a pretty loose plot synopsis, but this is Finding One Nemo After Another. All right, now it's time for the log lines. Tristan, I turn it over to you for something less literal than I have probably prepared.
Jeff, no, I wrote an actual log line this time.
Well, this is crazy.
Have you seen my dad? I'm lost in a complex hierarchical ecology that my neurotic father didn't fully prepare me for. Hope he finds me after embarking on an odyssey full of colorful characters and menacing villains. Maybe I'll find myself by then. And that's my log line.
That's a great log line. That's actually fantastic.
Wow, look at me.
I'm surprised.
I'm starting to get the hang of this log line thing.
That was good. Yeah, it definitely runs circles around mine. A paranoid father faces the natural perils of society, seeking to reunite with his stolen child. Along the way, he learns to loosen his grip while his child learns to fend for themselves.
That's great, Jeff. That's a great one. I think I should just do my Stephen Lockjaw impression for this entire...
Daddy-daughter games.
Daddy-daughter games.
Why is your shirt so tight? Oh boy, we had fun with these movies. Yes, but the comparison does probably seem a little bit... I mean, I think there's a surface level one that's pretty fun. The stolen child and the father moving heaven and earth to find them and bring them home. But there are a lot of other similarities, I think, that we're gonna cut into. Sort of on a societal level, we have the natural world, the ocean, that is being anthropomorphized in a way that we can recognize it as a human society versus actual civilization in one battle after another that's taking on this sort of natural worldish kind of vibe, especially with a time skip wherein nothing significant changes. There's 16 years from the prologue to the bulk of the movie, and everything's pretty much the same. So it's almost making an argument for this being its own sort of natural world.
I think that's an interesting point, Jeff. I get what you're saying with that last point too, because it's not a stretch really to look at Finding Nemo and see like the order inherent in the natural world in that, because everybody, you're right, they're anthropomorphized.
Yes.
There's a society going on there. But then you look at one battle after another and it's like, okay, how does that flip itself on its head? And there is such a chaotic nature to that film that it does feel like it feels like chaos. It's the opposite of the order of Finding Nemo.
Right.
And so I can kind of see what you're saying. It's not that they're animals necessarily, but they do feel part of a larger like ecosystem. and there's sort of like a symbiosis going on between the two factions in this film.
Yeah, and you can always count on that chaos to be there. That's just as inevitable. I mean, we talked about the Matrix earlier in this season and talking about trying to create a perfect Matrix for humanity where there was no issue and humanity rejected it. They couldn't believe in it, basically. And so one battle is kind of... I see a similarity here where it's like, this is natural. Now, it's a construct, but can humanity peacefully coexist? I think it's making an argument sort of that it can't if it's saying anything at all, which some people say it doesn't. But I think we will get into that. Just want to do a quick shout out to Letterboxd user Scrambled, who suggested this in our year-end review as a matchup. The funny thing is, I had already suggested it myself, and we were full steam ahead with it. It's one of those ones where I brought it up. Tristan, you were like, yeah. It's one of those ones where it's a little bit more of a thinker. And I think on the surface, yeah, there's a similar thread. But take a look under the hood, and there's a lot of similarity, even in the mechanisms that these two are employing in order to move forward with their story.
Yeah. This ocean is not only broad, it is deep.
You should tell me what you think always. Never hold anything back from me.
What the is wrong with you?
You're right. That's something I gotta remember, and I up sometimes.
Okay, I was right. You know what? We'll start school in a year or two.
No, Dad! Just because you're scared of the ocean...
Clearly you're not ready, and you're not coming back until you are. You think you can do these things, but you just can't, Nemo!
I hate you.
Okay, so Finding Nemo. We're taking talking animals, and we're putting them in... Finding Nemo, the world of Finding Nemo is less... It does function like human society, but the characters themselves, they're still like fish. You know, they don't have like arms and legs. They're not like trying to be... They're not physically mimic humans. They look like fish still. All the animals kind of have their same biology.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes about the fact that Marlin is a clownfish, so he's supposed to be funny. There's jokes about, well, not jokes, but like, well, I guess there is a joke. Like the sharks are supposed to be bloodthirsty predators, but they're actually in like a AA style meeting group where they're actually vegetarians. So there's lots of just like pointing at, okay, there's like the humanness of all these animals, but there's also the fact that at the end of the day, they are still animals existing like in nature. So they all have their roles like in the food web, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and then if you go too far into the ocean in unfamiliar territories, you might end up encountering a shark or encountering an anglerfish or a field of jellyfish.
Right.
This world, there's always something that's like basically trying to kill you.
Yes.
And that's like...
Scary.
It is scary. It is scary. Yeah, that's why Marlin is trying to shelter Nemo, and Bob is trying to shelter his daughter because he has a traumatic past. Both these characters have traumatic pasts they're trying to protect their children from. And they try to basically instill a fear of the world upon them. So, like, you know, would you rather live in the ocean or in LA where everything's trying to kill you in both instances? I don't know. The version of the world that we see in one battle after another, could this have come out at a more relevant time? I mean, like with the protests, and this movie predates the Minneapolis protests that happened this year by a couple of months.
Yeah.
But like there is so much imagery that is just like on point with what we're seeing in the real world today.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, is there a more relevant time? I mean, I don't know if we've had this much sort of social upheaval in our country probably since civil rights era, I would think. That was an era of protests and that sort of thing. But I mean, really, you look back, 10, 15 years, Ferguson, the riots in LA that happened in the 90s. I mean, this stuff flares up occasionally, but we are definitely, feels like we're in a flashpoint right now. And, we're talking here in the beginning of 2026. We don't know where it's going to go. This thing, like the ocean, it ebbs and flows, this sort of push and pull between authoritarianism and libertarianism, I guess you could call it.
Right. Conflict and resolution, but resolution being sort of like a remission.
A remission. That's probably good. It's when the tensions sort of start to cool a little bit. And right now we're at a boiling point. So
absolutely, I'd say that we are. But so is one battle saying, like, with the time skip. So there's a 16-year time skip between the first 33, 35-ish minutes of one battle after another and the rest of the movie. Nothing changes. It is, I mean, the French 75 aren't a group anymore. There are still revolutionary groups that have adopted different strategies, but all the conflict is there. When Lockjaw is preparing to extract who might be his daughter, I didn't mention, but Lockjaw did have a sexual relationship with Perfidia Beverly Hills. And when he gets invited to join the Christmas Adventurers Club, which is an elite group of white men who just consider themselves to be superior to other men.
Right, right. He says you're not, it doesn't make you smarter, it doesn't make you more moral, but he's like, it just makes you superior to other human beings, just in a sort of a vague sense.
He gets it that he has to tie up loose ends and track down the child that he knows Perfidia had and find out if it's his biological offspring. And if it is, terminate it so he can be a superior man with what he believes to be a higher calling.
This is because of what he and the Christmas Adventurers Club views as like an indiscretion in his past.
Yes.
That he had a relationship with Perfidia Beverly Hills, who is a black revolutionary. She's still alive at this point.
Yes.
She has fled the country. She's in like Mexico or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole idea is that, the Christmas Adventurers Club are basically white nationalists. They might be Christian nationalists. I'm not sure. They do say Hail Saint Nick. So they might just be Satanists.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on there. But they, like, one of the explicit questions they ask Colonel Lockjaw is, have you ever had
An interracial relationship.
Exactly, yeah. And then when they find out that, he did and that he might have a child, the first question they ask is like, what race? And
there's no easy way to say this.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. The scenes are really gross, but they're also really funny because they take themselves so seriously. And I think most people are going to watch these people, these men in these secret boardrooms and sort of be like, that I can't believe that they would take themselves that seriously and say like, Hail Saint Nick. And their secret knock, what is it? Jingle bells?
Yes, it's Jingle Bells.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's funny, but also like disgusting.
Yeah. They're their own sort of group, and they're inviting Lockjaw in. So the seed was planted for Lockjaw to be interfering now in the present after the time skip. So it's sort of like there was a flow, then it ebbed for 16 years, and now it's flowing again because he's got this invitation. He's got to tie up loose ends. What is the naturalness within the conflict that we are seeing in one battle after another? Because PTA is pointing at a naturalness with the time skip. He is saying that no matter at what point in history, there is always going to be this fight, one battle after another. It's right there in the title. Is he just pointing at it, or is he saying something more poignant about it? What exactly is being said here?
Well, yeah, I mean, the title itself is, to me, telling that he does view... He views this conflict as ongoing. It's part of a larger chain of being. At one point, Leonardo DiCaprio is watching Battle of Algiers, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie from the 60s about the French-Algeria conflict and everything. And which is just another link in the chain of colonialism and conflicts that we've been dealing with for hundreds of years. And I think there's an acknowledgement on PTA's part that this fight will continue to happen. It's not going to get solved in a generation. It's not going to get solved in our lifetimes, probably. And even once we do solve, some of the pertinent issues of today, heightened racism and nationalism and, violence, political violence, even once we do solve those issues, there will continue to be other issues. Like there's no sense of naivete on the part of PTA that utopia is what we're sort of fighting for.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, I think the crucial sort of error that PTA views his characters as making is that they are maybe fighting for that sort of thing. Because this movie takes jabs, obviously, at the Christmas Adventurers Club and Lockjaw and their politics. And at the end of the day, it's Lockjaw who is made the ultimate fool of by, he dies at the end. He's betrayed by his own Christmas adventurers. Whereas it looks at the leftist revolutionaries and definitely mines some humor from their politics.
Yes.
Mines some humor from the idea of their convoluted code system. Mines some humor from the idea of a caller who has he says things like noise triggers and
right.
You're violating my space.
Somewhere between the stolen land of this tribe and the stolen land of this other tribe.
Yeah, so he's sort of poking fun a little bit of that sanctimonious nature, although I don't think he's drawing like an equivalence between the two, and I think that bears out narratively because the leftists are the central figures of the narrative and they ultimately do come out on top, personally anyway. By drawing these parallels between these two groups of people, there's almost like it's almost like a symbiotic relationship between the two. There's almost like a you need me and I need you to continue what we have going on here.
Yeah.
It's sort of a call and response kind of thing. Like the harder the boot squashes down on the people, the harder the people are going to fight back.
Right. It's the Dark Knight,
It's like the Dark Knight.
Sort of, yeah. No, it's true. Like social constructs. You need the yin yang kind of push pull thing. I have heard people criticize this movie for saying that it touches on these topics, but it doesn't make a hardline stance. It's not saying like, oh, well, this is why this is bad.
Oh, sure.
Or X, Y, Z. And I think that sort of factors into the role that the French 75 plays, which is like, you actually never see them interact with any detainees, they are in love with the lifestyle, which I will get into at a later point. But this is, I think, one of the biggest parallels I wanted to draw between One Battle After Another and Finding Nemo, because Finding Nemo goes to all of these places in the ocean where there are things, creatures that are just the same and have always been the same, or as we understand them, jellyfish, anglerfish, predators, sharks. Like, these are as natural as the ocean. We think about the ocean, we think about the predators in it, we think about all the things we don't know about it and all the things that can kill you. And in society, it's like, from a parent's perspective, from the perspective of Bob or Marlin, of course, we're looking at the world around us and saying, everything out here is like so dangerous. We're going to let it cripple us, basically, and pass that on to our children.
Yeah, One Battle After Another isn't didactic with the way that it's sort of pointing at things and saying this is evil because of X, Y, Z, or this is good because of X, Y, Z. It's sort of letting you, there's a self-evidence to a lot of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think PTA has a little bit more faith in the viewer to kind of be able to parse who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. And the focus of the narrative, like I said, makes that evident. The whole thing with Finding Nemo and the naturalism of Finding Nemo, like that is there. I don't necessarily think that PTA is looking at all of society and saying that, the way it's organized itself today is identical to the way it could have organized itself in the past. I think it's more just like, it's again that ebb and the flow. The harder the boot stamps down, the more that people are going to uprise against it. It's that sort of thing. He's suggesting there's a natural relationship between the force of oppression and the force that fights back. He's saying that's the natural part.
Right.
And that, the construct is that force actually exists. It's the power. It's the hierarchy.
It is power
that comes out of that. But the what's natural about it is just the way that people are going to react to it. We as human beings, when we are oppressed, we do not want to be chained up,
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. And so I like that parallel. I do think there is a parallel to be drawn there because, and this is an issue that I sometimes run into with movies, like animated movies that have like anthropomorphized animals. And it's usually like, the vegetarian or like the herbivorous animals are like the good ones. And the carnivorous animals are the bad ones.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And it's interesting to me, particularly as a human being who's omnivorous. I'm like, oh, so I'm sort of somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not as innocent as Bambi, but I'm not as evil as the anglerfish that only wants to eat Dory and Marlin. I think that's the allegorical nature of setting a story in the natural world, but it definitely like makes you look at some of these characters. Like, here's the thing: you never see the anglerfish aren't like in a society. They don't organize themselves like in a society. You just see one anglerfish that's evil, and that can just be your monster. It's your deep dark monster. You see one whale in the movie. It doesn't organize itself in a society. There's a sense of like greater wisdom that comes from this creature, but at the end of the day, it's more of like it's a cipher for something. It's Jonah and the whale. It's like the deep unknowability of like your subconscious, of your fears, of something that Marlin has to let go, which is what he does while he's in the belly of the whale.
Right.
That's the interesting thing. That's the interesting thing about animals in animal allegories, because some of them are allowed to be people. And then some are just symbols.
And yet in society, some people are dehumanized and made into animals.
Yeah.
And predators.
Yeah.
Which, when you anthropomorphize animals, you introduce the concept of evil to animalistic acts.
Sure.
Like just eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are movies that I think are more about that. Finding Nemo isn't, but Finding Nemo is about like, okay, there is a society. It's like the neighborhood. That's what it is. The coral reef. It's the
suburbia.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
All of the dads are talking to Marlin in the morning. We're dropping off our kids at school. It's
Right.
when you venture outside of it that's like anything can happen. We don't even know if society exists outside of this little patch that we have right here. I think that's even more terrifying, right? Like, I mean, the ocean is objectively more terrifying than society. I would say, yeah. So trying to like put society into the ocean is just a terrifying conceit.
Yes.
And Finding Nemo is it's kind of scary. There's scary moments in this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree, Jeff. It naturalizes systems of power and hierarchies. And I really, that's what an allegory does. It's one of the messy things about an allegory that you just have to not take so seriously. But there's also the risk that it can calcify those systems. And like in the mind of a child who watches Finding Nemo, you sort of start, maybe you would watch a movie like that and draw these parallels between the critters and the characters and the monsters of it to people and systems in the real world, and sort of be like, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the natural world.
Right.
Instead of a construct.
Right.
And so there is maybe a little bit of a danger in that. I tend to think that that's just me overthinking it. But I do think it the stories that are told and then what we take from them, that says something about the storytellers, it says something about the audience. So I do think it's worth discussing. And I think it's an interesting parallel to One Battle After Another.
I think so. And I think the ocean, because it is like, an ecosystem, there are places in which these animals naturally exist, like in the turtles in the current, hatching eggs on the sea. Like these are their life cycles where they end up. The curious thing about Finding Nemo is that Marlin exits his and therefore exposes himself to all of these other things that are dangerous and that he doesn't belong in, and create sort of a legend out of him as he looks for his son, because they're like not only taken aback by the fact that this fish is like not where he's supposed to be most of the time, but they're like, oh, and he's looking for his son. Yeah. Like he is like a folkloric hero in this movie.
He's like a fish out of water, but he's still in the ocean. He's still in the water, dude. Hey, something I wrote down in my notes. There are no tears in the ocean.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
In the ocean, no one can hear you cry.
Yeah, no, it was literally the beginning of the movie when Marlin's like wife gets killed, and I was like, I was starting to feel it already. I was like, damn, this movie's gonna get to me.
Yeah. Did you cry?
I did not cry, but I did get a little choked up. I did.
I promised him I'd never let anything happen to him.
That's a funny thing to promise.
What?
Well, you can't never let anything happen to him. Then nothing would ever happen to him.
I got lazy, man. I wasn't paying attention. I thought the person coming through that door one day was gonna be her mom, not this fucking asshole. See her daughter, she'd teach her girls stuff, she'd do her hair, she'd be a mom.
Okay, I want to kind of move on to our second talking point here, which is going to focus more on the generational trauma. The biggest lesson that Marlin takes away from a creature or a friend that he encounters on his journey is from Crush the sea turtle.
Yeah.
Because sea turtles lay their eggs on the beach and just trust their offspring to make it back to the ocean. We've all seen the sad nature documentaries where they get picked off by the birds and the crabs as they try to make it to the water. But the ones who make it, they make it. The sea turtles are so chill, they're relaxed. They're like surfer dudes. That's this sort of the stereotype they're drawing on for them.
Yeah.
And Marlin is like suffocating Nemo. He doesn't want to he's terrified that something will happen to him. He literally says to Dory, he's like, I promised I would never let anything ever happen to him. And she was like, well, that's kind of silly, because then nothing would ever happen to him, which is, I think, just kind of the thesis of this, but kind of both of these movies to an extent.
Right.
And of course, you have Bob, who's trying to protect his daughter from the seed that Perfidia planted in her relationship with Colonel Lockjaw that is now prospered into a big, dangerous tree. Not the best metaphor, but it's what I went with.
A big ocean tree.
So this is a point I want to draw about the French 75. And a criticism I'd seen leveled against this movie. There's criticism towards Perfidia as a character specifically. She's been like sort of accused. I saw an op-ed on I think it was the Washington Post, maybe it was the Guardian. I don't know. Basically calling her a Jezebel stereotype, which, is not something I know a whole lot about. But I mean, they're saying PTA doesn't know that about the character that he's writing either, which is probably true. So you have the character of Perfidia, who's hypersexual, who's fetishizing Pat's whiteness. And you have the other French 75 members who are also fetishizing each other. You've got Alana Haim's boyfriend, who's like working class white girl, go do your thing. When they're undercover, they kiss. The whole first 30 minutes it's like that hypersexual youth, They are not only fetishizing each other, though, they are fetishizing the lifestyle of the revolutionary in a dangerous, dangerous way. Then you have the character Jungle Pussy, who goes to the bank with the rest of the group and says, see my face? This is the face of power. Like, showing your face to everybody. Like, the most dangerous thing you can do when you want to be discreet and make, be a criminal.
Oh yeah, and what's even more shocking is her reaction when Perfidia actually shoots the guard, like the bank guard, like
just shuts her up.
Yeah, shuts her up. Yeah, that's power, right? Like that was an exercise of power, and it shuts everybody up. It silences everybody, and it stops being a game. I think interesting. One of the first things, Perfidia. The beginning of One Battle After Another is they're liberating a migrant detention center, and Perfidia goes into Colonel Lockjaw's office, puts on his hat, his little captain's cap, and he is sort of making eyes at her and everything, and makes a pass at her, and she tells him to get it up, get hard for her right now, and she said, if we're gonna play, we're gonna play, she is matching that freak, that she's matching that freak.
I've seen a lot of people say that about PTA specifically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is exactly what's happening.
And that is okay, you have the, the oppressive versus liberation angle, and how, again, however hard you oppress, the harder you have to fight back to liberate yourself. But then there's also that sexual component, which is another component of power. And you sort of see Perfidia fall in with Lockjaw because of that incident. Like, he is so taken in by her power over him because he fetishizes power.
Mm-hmm.
And she fetishizes the aesthetic of rebellion and revolution. And so does the rest of the French 75. And the end of all of that is that Perfidia ends up shacking up with Lockjaw. I mean, at gunpoint, right? I mean, he basically is threatening her entire group of friends if she doesn't sleep with him.
Yeah.
And she does. And
he gets her pregnant.
Gets her pregnant. Exactly.
And what happens when you fetishize something or someone specifically, that one becomes a thing. That person becomes a thing. They become a fetish.
Yeah.
Perfidia and Lockjaw do not love each other, but Lockjaw, because of his power dynamic, his power fetish, wants to hear her say that she does. And so you have this kind of fake romance that he believes in because he's just deluded himself, basically. Like, he's powerful. Because he's powerful, he can have whatever he wants, including love, but he can't actually because she bites back. You have all these French 75 members who seem to be more in love with the lifestyle and themselves in it than any cause that they're specifically fighting for. Mm-hmm. Now, the heart of One Battle After Another is Bob and Willa, and Bob's whole arc is motivated by reconnecting with his daughter. He's sort of become a burnout. He's paranoid. He puts that onto her. But because Bob doesn't just care about himself, he cares about his daughter, he sort of gets a pass as opposed to all the other 75 members.
Well, there comes a crossroads where eventually Perfidia is pregnant. And, we assume it's Bob's kid.
Yeah.
Even though we also know that she's slept with Lockjaw. And there comes an impasse where Perfidia gives birth to Willa, and Perfidia abandons Willa. She decides to go back out into the world to be a revolutionary. She says, I reject your originality to your unoriginality
to the patriarchal need to control,
to the structures of family,
Yeah.
to the nuclear family and everything. And Bob is just like, he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a kid now. To him, it's just self-evident. that's just the natural, you have a kid, you take care of it.
Yeah.
That's your biology, that's your genetics. And there are, it's interesting. I don't exactly know which side of the aisle PTA is playing on here. And I don't necessarily think he has to pick a side, but who's more radical? Is Perfidia the more radical for turning her back on her family and going back out into the world to be revolutionary? Or is Bob the more radical for staving off the fight for the next generation and raising a child? He's essentially, it's like a radical form of faith and hope in the future. Even though things are as bad as Bob truly believes they are, because he fought to better them,
Right.
he is still going to set that aside and have a child in this up world, which is more radical. I don't necessarily think the film is taking a super hardline stance on either, because I do think I think the film is allowing for a person like Perfidia and for the revolutionaries in general to exist.
Sure, I don't think it's saying that. I don't think it's comparing their radicalism to one another in that sense. I think it's more along the lines of like, to me, the way that Perfidia is written, the way that she rejects, but she fits right into the French 75 and their sort of vague motivation, right? It's all power, right? So Perfidia is allowed to continue to be a radical for her own good, not necessarily for the advancement of society.
Right.
And in fact, she's cast out into Mexico. That is where she flees, which is ironic given that she's introduced fleeing to detainees at the Mexican border. So to me, that's sort of like a jail sentence or like you failed the test. You're a rat. You rat out everybody, and now you're cast out, and you can't even live the lifestyle that you want to. You're a prisoner to your own failings.
That's true. And yeah, not to say that Perfidia is a blameless character. I mean, her name is Perfidia Beverly Hills. It's deceitful Hollywood splendor, right? Like it's the seductiveness of aesthetic and the fact that it is ultimately a lie, and she pays the price for it. I mean, she does pay the price for it.
And then that price is pressed upon Willa after that. So
Yeah.
Bob is trying to protect his daughter, one, from the people trying to, kidnap her or kill him or ruin their lives, but two, also from becoming her mother. He withholds a letter that her mother wrote her that we don't find out about until the end.
Yeah.
But Bob also kind of loses himself. He admits it. He's like, he has that monologue to Sensei, who we haven't really talked about, but is an excellent character. And he's like, I got lazy, man. I always thought that her mom would be the one to show up and they'd talk about girl stuff and she'd do her hair. I can't do her hair, man. Ultimately, like, the only thing keeping him going is his daughter, because everything he believed in burnt him out. You look at Marlin, all of his kids and his wife taken from him in the first 5 minutes of Finding Nemo, like every single one of them. The only thing he has left is his son. And there is a moment towards the end of Finding Nemo where he sees Nemo in a plastic bag playing dead. It's part of Nemo's scheme to escape. And he basically just gives up. He does not reunite with Nemo. They get separated again. He gives up Dory. She's like, please don't leave me. Like, I feel better with you. I remember things better with you. I don't want to forget. And Marlin's like, I'm sorry, but
I do. Yeah.
And then he sulks away. He swims towards the fishing grounds, which is like almost maybe subconsciously suicidal. Like, yeah. You can interpret it pretty dark. Well, what are these fathers without the children that they hold so tightly in their hand? Their whole arc is kind of learning to loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. What is a father without a child? It's almost like an oxymoron.
Well, it's a construct again.
It's a construct. That's true. Yeah. There is something constructed there. Is Sensei, is he sort of like the Dory of One Battle After Another? Did you say that?
I thought Nigel was more of the Sensei in Finding Nemo. Honestly, the pelican that scoops up Marlin and Dory and brings them. But hey, there are parallels. So Dory is a proactive character in the narrative of Finding Nemo. She falls backwards into a lot of solutions. She gets the sharks off their tail. She knows how to read, so she reads the address on the mask dropped by the diver that allows them to know where to go to find Nemo.
Yeah.
So in a way, sure. Yeah, she's not like, she is the foil to Marlin.
She's the foil, yeah. Marlin is neurotic to a fault, and Dory, there's nothing going on behind those eyes.
And you definitely do get those parallels with Sensei, who is ocean waves.
Ocean waves, man. He's just riding the waves. And for him, Leonardo DiCaprio crashing into his life and being like, oh my God, you know, like for him, it's just another Tuesday. He's like, I've already got this system set up where I am protecting migrants from, you know, from the government, and
a little Latino Harriet Tubman situation.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. He's a Latino like karate instructor. Like I love that. For him, it's just like he just embodies the role that he needed to embody, and there's no stress about it. You know, he has got all these contingencies in place to rescue Leo, and so when Leo does eventually fall off a roof into police custody, there's still contingencies in place to get him. And finally, the thing that gets them is they were speeding, like on a road. You know, that's like the one thing that
he was speeding, and Leo also, you know,
he's drinking.
He swung a beer in front of a cop, which, you know, you get the sense a lot of the characters who are not white in this movie who do help Leo get his daughter back end it worse off than they began it. And I think that's intentional, of course.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's PTA sort of acknowledging the reality of life for a lot of minority just people in America in general, and in general, just sort of having it a little bit worse off than most other white people. I mean, I think it does come down in a big way to class, but also you see class being divided around racial lines anyway. So yeah, I do think that's part of PTA, just sort of looking at this, you know, the one battle after another, and recognizing that the ones who have the most to gain from winning those battles are also the ones that are going to have the most to lose during the actual battles themselves. And that's reflected in the narrative. And it's not something the film shies away from. Does it necessarily make a big deal about it? I don't think so.
I think more so you look at the people who are instigating a lot of these fights and conflicts. Like Lockjaw he's on an extraction mission to get Willa.
Yeah.
But it's a cover. He covers it up as a military operation to raid, it's like a chicken plant that he says is a front for a heroin operation.
Right.
And so most of the people who are following him actually believe that, like his militant followers. But while they're raiding the plant, like he goes and tries to find Willa. And, you know, when he's briefing everybody before the raid, he's like, expect resistance from the local populace. Expect them to be sympathetic to these people making drugs, basically.
Yeah,
because that's what you say.
It's a sanctuary city.
Yes. Yeah. No drugs in Finding Nemo.
No drugs in Finding Nemo, but there is like an AA joke, which is that the sharks can't eat fish. They're like vegetarian sharks.
Well, sharks are societal outcasts, and in order to be welcomed back into the sphere, they want to not eat fish. They eat other things. We don't know what. Maybe like plankton or something. I don't know.
Well, remember, Jeff, from your biology lessons, there's phytoplankton and zooplankton. And zooplankton is actually an animal.
Yo, plankton.
Jeff, I wrote down in my notes, they think revolution is an idea, this thing to be courted and seduced by and controlled, but it is real and it is fickle. And I wrote that in reference to sort of, I guess, Lockjaw and Bob in their sort of courting of Perfidia, who, you know, you were talking about the Jezebel thing, and I do think there's a argument to be made that she is sort of a stand-in for the seduction of revolution, the idea of that sort of power. But at the end of the day, she is a character who is fallible, who has virtue. She's made into a real person, and I think that's something that I think PTA is kind of hammering home with the whole one battle after another thing. Is this revolution is not just an idea. If it happens, it's a real thing. It's going to affect people, and it's going to be something that hurts. And if you're gonna do it successfully, if you're gonna do it, you have to be doing it for the right reasons. And you know, Bob's motivation is his daughter. You look at Lockjaw's motivation, and it's to erase that daughter, that future. You know, his progeny. it's anti-human, it's anti-life.
It's all selfish.
It's selfish, exactly.
Lockjaw is a selfish character, and a lot of the French 75 are selfish too. But it's paralleled in Lockjaw at the beginning when he initially confronts Perfidia in the bathroom, and he straight up says like, "I don't care what you blow up. I just want to."
Yeah, basically, yeah. Do you really think that the French 75? I almost said Lavender 75.
I keep making that same mistake.
Good cocktail, by the way. The French 75. Do you really think that most of them are selfish? Because I don't necessarily buy that.
I think a lot. I think the underlining idea about the French 75, almost said Lavender again, is echoed in a scene later on in the movie when Sensei is helping Bob. And Bob still, the French 75, they're legends. They were big and loud and made a big stink. They're basically they would probably call themselves like a counter-terrorist organization, right?
Yeah.
And so they probably come with a lot of flaws that come with that loaded term.
Sure.
But you have that scene where Sensei gives Bob a gun. He's like, I got to go take care of my people I'm trying to protect, but you're in good hands. And he walks down this trap door, and Bob watches him, and he yells, "Viva la Revolution!" loudly. And Sensei quietly gives him a thumbs up, closes the hatch, and a rug automatically rolls over the hatch.
Yeah.
And he disappears, and any trace that he was ever there is gone, while Bob's shout is still echoing on the walls in that hallway.
Right.
Which is like, to me, I think it's very critical of the French 75. I don't.
To me, it's critical of elements of the French 75. Like Bob was, what was he, the Rocket Man? Is that what they called him?
They call him Rocket Man. Yeah.
Rocket Man, yeah. He's this loud, boisterous guy, and when he kind of gets back into the flow of the revolution and the code speak and everything, he hits him, and he's like, "Yeah, Viva la Revolution!" And he's giving signs and all that kind of thing. And I think the film is maybe critiquing like the ostentatiousness of some of that stuff and sort of the like I said, the aesthetic of it. But you look at the characters who, like you said, a lot of the POC characters who sacrifice so much in this movie for Bob and for his daughter, and in a way for Perfidia.
Yeah.
And they're worse off by the end of the film. And to me, that can only be selfless. That can't be a selfish act.
And some of them were associated with the 75. And yeah. I think basically there's an exodus, a mass killing of a lot of the 75 members. And I think they get a lot of the ones who are more reckless.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Probably true. But you still have characters like Regina Hall's Lady Champagne, who is still fighting for it smartly.
Yes.
You still get the guy who helps Bob over the phone when he has to deal with an annoying subordinate.
Right.
These are people who are selfless. And the remnants of the revolution as it is still being fought, I think because it's one battle after another, here are the people that lost because their fight was a selfish one.
Oh, I see. It's sort of like a crucible, what remains, the purities.
I could see that. Yeah. Purification of the revolution.
Yeah. Maybe there is something there. And that would make sense because I think you're meant to sort of view Willa as this best of both worlds between Perfidia and Bob as the future revolutionary who will maybe change the world more successfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I brought all this shit to your door, man. I'm sorry about everything.
Tranquilo, Bobby, tranquilo. We've been laid siege for hundreds of years. You did nothing wrong. Don't get selfish. The water's going down. It's going down.
Really? You sure about that?
Look, already it's half empty.
I'd say it's half full.
Stop that! It's half empty!
I want to talk a little bit about sort of the technical aspects of these movies because we talked a lot about the themes. I think One Battle is just a dense movie. And I think we could talk extensively about it. I think Finding Nemo it's obviously a lot more stripped. It's a lot more just, it's shorter too. It's a lot more straightforward. Not to say that it isn't without its merit for those exact reasons. Love that movie. Classic. Finding Nemo actually pushed forward animation in a way that we're still seeing ripples from today, waves from today. I don't know which one I want to say. It invented, the people who made Finding Nemo created entirely new water mechanics for computer animation that were used for a long time afterwards. Until James Cameron was like, well, I need my avatars to swim around in a way that's unique to them. So I'm going to recreate a water engine. Probably not till that late. I'm sure it was refined and perfected up until that point. But Finding Nemo, for the time, in 2003, looks probably better than a lot of CG movies that followed within that decade. It holds up. I mean, you watch it today and it's still a gorgeous movie. And then you contrast it with One Battle After Another, which is using VistaVision, which we talked about it in our past Progeny episode, which is a relic from the past, but recontextualized in a modern movie. PTA is going for a more timeless feel, especially because he plays with time within the context of his narrative.
16 years passed, but nothing changed.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the way that the two movies are, quote unquote, shot for Finding Nemo, but literally shot for One Battle After Another, they are doing an interesting parallel there, I would say. Then you look at the score to both of these movies, right? The first 30 minutes, 33 minutes, 35 minutes, 36 minutes of One Battle After Another, it feels to me like such a self-contained kind of prologue, because partially, obviously because of the time skip, but also because the score is underneath it the entire time. It's just going and going and going. It's actually Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead who did There Will Be Blood and Phantom Thread, other PTA movies of the past. So the way that he scores those scenes is like, it's so cool. It's so rhythmic. And you even get characters who are talking off screen who you don't even see ever until the time skip. And it's like visual poetry in a way that I think would probably get kind of old if it kept going any longer than that prologue. But then the tone just massively changes after the time skip. Look at the score for Finding Nemo. Still remember it today. Like the score when Marlin is chasing the boat, the piano chords that are going, that are kind of reminiscent of Jaws a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Just like this terror. That score was done by Thomas Newman, who did movies like Shawshank, American Beauty, Green Mile, Skyfall. Like he's got a prolific resume.
Yeah.
I think music and sound really motivate these movies in an excellent way. And look at the way that beyond just VistaVision, how One Battle was shot. We haven't even talked about the car chase at the end.
Ooh, the car chase at the end. That was like the scene of the year for me, I think.
You think?
I think for me it was. I watched it in like a Dolby theater.
Yeah.
Real, close to the screen and everything. And I think I missed the, Sensei saying like ocean waves. And I got to the end of that and I got seasick, man.
Yeah.
I got seasick watching this thing.
There are a lot of people saying that. And that was shot by Michael Bauman, who this is his first solo DP credit. Like he worked on other PTA movies, but this is the first time he ever shot one by himself. And you said it yourself, it's like waves.
It's like waves. Well, it's great. I mean, it's a movie all about sort of getting your sea legs. It's a movie about the ground is shifting underneath you. There's this ebb and flow, this oscillation, peaks and valleys, and you just have to ride it, and you got to surf it. And if you get a little, motion sick while you're watching it in your Dolby theater, maybe the next time you watch it on a smaller screen, it won't be so bad. It wasn't.
It's a beautiful scene. The rack focusing, the way that all the cars have their own distinct personalities too. Yeah. Like, it's amazing.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. It's a really unique way to kind of shoot a car chase scene, and I love the twist that it's Willa just parks the car just over the edge so the guy can't see it. Oh man, the Christmas Adventurers are funny characters in this movie, man.
But by the end, like she has no reason exactly to believe that car is trying to kill her, except that she has sort of adopted the paranoia that Bob has impressed upon her, and she has realized comes from a very real place.
Oh yeah, and the only way the litmus test is the code, which has been sort of like made fun of a little bit throughout the movie, but it's also been shown to be effective.
Right.
This sort of jargon, this nonsense phrase that you just have to be on the in group to know. And she throws it back at this guy who's stumbling out of his car, and he's like, "What?"
And then he reaches for a gun after she shoots him. But she does shoot him first.
She does shoot him.
Willa shot first.
I need a shirt that says that.
And by the end of both of these movies, you have Willa and Nemo who have gained their own agency. We really didn't touch on the fact that Nemo befriends the fish in the tank, including a fish played by Willem Dafoe in a very memorable performance.
Very sexy, sultry performance, according to
Letterboxd.
Many Letterboxd users who find Willem Dafoe hot in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really thirsting after this fish. I drink his tank water.
You thought it, I saw you think of that. Like,
Yeah,
I saw
man,
you.
that
Like,
was
you're
not
like,
pre-planned.
I drink that.
Yeah, so but Nemo, his first escape attempt, he's very cautious. He almost gets killed in like the motor of this like filter.
It's
in the
it's
tank.
called an impeller, actually.
Oh, that's right. You are a tank expert.
I'm a fish tank guy, actually. I've been outed on the podcast.
I've said it before.
I'm a big fish tank guy, so it really bothered me when Nemo got into the filter and there was no filter media, like there was no sponge or carbon or anything in it. I was like, he's just swimming around in an empty filter. It's not doing anything. There's nothing in there to filter.
Listen, they got it like 75% of the way there, right?
They missed the most crucial aspect of a filter.
Yeah, it's not a functional filter. Sorry.
All it is it's a water pump.
This is where your suspension of disbelief broke.
Yeah, I was like, I can buy the talking fish. I can buy the fish with, but I can't do it without the filter media. Are you kidding me?
Anyway, Nemo
What about the
almost-
nitrogen cycle in the tank, dude? Come on.
Anyway, Nemo almost dies the first time, and Gil's like, we won't make you do that again, basically. But Nemo's going to be gifted to the dentist's daughter, Darla. And Darla likes shaking the bag. She likes shaking up the fish in the bag, tapping on the glass. She's a fish killer, as Allison Janney's Peach says.
Yes.
Which is a great casting I never appreciated until adulthood.
Oh, yeah, she's really good in the role. And Brad Garrett as
Bloat.
Bloat, yeah.
Yeah, Brad Garrett. Huge. We're a pro
Brad Garrett podcast.
We are indeed.
I'm sure hope he hasn't done anything problematic.
The second time that Nemo goes in the filter, he does it basically of his own free will. Nobody asks him to do it. Nobody concocts the plan. He's like, I almost died the first time. I can do it this time. And he does. And eventually he gets free with different circumstances. The plan goes awry. They go to plan B. Everything works out. But Nemo gets back in the ocean. He gets reunited with his dad. There's one more thing they got to do. They got to help Dory, who has been captured in this big net of fish. And is being pulled up to the surface. And it's this huge fishing net. And so Nemo has to go in there, inside the net, and start telling all the fish to swim down so that they coordinate their efforts. And Marlin's like, okay, go do it. You can do it. And Nemo does it, and it's successful. This is sort of similar thing. I do see parallels between the endings of these two movies.
Oh, yeah. It's as important for the neurotic fathers of these movies to venture out, face their fears and go get their, child, as it is for that child to mature into something more, into an adult, or, in Nemo's case, like a teenager,
a bigger fish.
Yeah, whatever. Like, it's important for, like, that's what being a parent is. It's you're training your child to become a person, and that's what these movies are about. That's Willa's arc, and that's Nemo's arc, to become a person who's not coddled and sort of, kept in by their neurotic father. So yeah, there's definitely parallels there for sure. I think that's the strongest parallel between these two films are those two sets of character arcs for the fathers and for the children.
Right. I think a lesser film would just have it as the father's journey. Right?
Yeah.
But you do need to see the children and have their own, because Willa gets taken to basically a nunnery that's a front for
weed
or, refugees,
marijuana
or reefer.
The devil's lettuce.
Yeah. But you have to cut back and forth. You got to intercut between her growth and her father's growth. Same with Nemo. You get to know the tank gang.
Yeah. Nemo can't just be he's not just a MacGuffin. He moves. He talks.
He's got a voice.
He's got a voice. He gets up into a filter.
I do think both movies stick the landing.
They do.
Well.
Absolutely. No, the emotional climax of both these films, I love. Finding Nemo almost made me cry. One battle after another made me be like, yeah.
There's a feel-good aspect.
There's
too.
a feel-good aspect to it. Yeah. When he gives that letter to his daughter, and she sort of comes to grips with her mom and doesn't, she neither idolizes her mother nor hates her for being a rat and abandoning her. She comes to sort of understand her mom a little bit. She goes out into the world and does her own thing. And now she has a phone. And she drives the car of the bounty hunter who delivered her to white nationalists and then saved her from the white nationalists.
Which, wasn't that car like totaled?
Oh, is it not the same car at the end?
I didn't notice if it was. But
I thought it was the same car because it was like white and it had like tinted windows. I have to go back and watch it. I might be wrong about that actually.
Okay.
It's sort of like her, like it's like when Rey inherits like the Skywalker lightsaber. That's like her Skywalker lightsaber.
Yeah, dude. Nerd shit.
It's all like Star Wars and fish tanks and monster trucks.
All right, before we get to the end of our show, we're going to do a little Q&A session here. Tristan, do you have a question for me?
Well, like, who would you prefer to be your dad? Who, if you had to pick between Marlon and Bob, who do you think would be a better dad?
Well, Bob's like a burnout. He's like a failure as a dad, and he's very aggro. I think they even say that about him. Like, your dad's aggro, bro.
What does that mean, by the way?
It's aggressive, right?
Oh, is that what that means?
I don't know.
I thought it meant like aggravated.
Well,
I guess it means the same thing.
Yeah, you act.
Your dad is very aggregated.
Dad's a farmer.
He's all in one place. Your dad's very agriculture oriented.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could definitely smoke weed. Your father would be in your dream blunt rotation if Bob was your father.
That's true.
But imagine Marlon taking one puff. He's dead.
He's a fish, dude. He can't smoke.
No, he just absorbs it through his gills or something.
Oh,
What if you feed Marlon like an edible?
Can we talk about the fish skin?
What?
Can we talk about the fish skin in Finding Nemo and how realistic it looks when they're like out of the water and like the gleam
Oh,
of
yeah.
the water on like the fish?
Yeah, that's part of the engine that they designed for the movie.
The fish skin engine. This fish skin engine.
I mean, that same effect was probably used in other movies.
Like Avatar, yeah.
Yeah, like until James Cameron decided didn't look good enough.
Yeah, it was like the glowing skin of Jake Sully when he was in the water.
Exactly.
It was just like Nemo.
It's probably very similar. I'm curious if you think so. In Finding Nemo, they encounter jellyfish and sharks, a barracuda at the beginning, a sunken submarine. What's missing? Like in terms of like your ocean obstacle iconography, you know, like what are they? What do you feel like they could have also encountered in the ocean that you think of when you think, oh, ocean?
Well, it wouldn't be right for Finding Nemo, but maybe for a sequel. And I'm not talking about Finding Dory. I'm talking about finding motherfucking Atlantis.
I knew you were going to say.
and that's what they have to find. They encounter Atlantis. Now what happens? I don't know.
They just discover Atlantis.
They find it and they're just like, okay.
Yeah, or it's just like a background gag for whatever's going on in the rest of the story.
Oh, okay, yeah, because like maybe someone can't read like the sign that says like Atlantis this way, like 1 mile, 1 nautical mile because it's underwater.
They already knew.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know Atlantis, that would make it good.
What about you, Titanic or something?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't even thinking that. I actually didn't have anything specifically in mind. I was thinking more of like the animals they encounter, like a giant squid or something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah, there's a startling lack of cephalopods except for the little the one who inks herself.
Right. Yeah, she does. That's like,
yeah, she does do that.
That's one of those ones that's like one of those lines that lives in your head as a kid. There's so many lines in Finding Nemo that just like, you know, just keep swimming, or
like you guys made me ink. Like
or,
like what's the parallel to that in real life? Like you made me like pee myself.
Yeah, for kids. Yeah.
Okay.
When they get scared, they pee
you guys
themselves.
made me pee myself. Like I just never did get to that point, I guess, in my
which
life.
is funny when her dad does it when the shark shows up at the end.
What's another animal that could show? It'd be cool if like Finding Nemo did like a megalodon thing. Like they did a crossover with the Meg and they had to battle like a big shark.
Jason Statham shows up.
He is like David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, it would be a lot like that, wouldn't it?
I feel like SpongeBob movie and Finding Nemo would have made a decent hard ticket matchup. Do you have maybe another matchup for either one of these movies that you thought about?
That is a good question. Because both of these are kind of like Odyssey movies.
Yeah.
Right?
The obvious one for me for One Battle After Another was the Battle of Algiers, because they're literally watching it in the movie. And I was like, that's my like sort of go-to revolutionary movie.
They want you to make that parallel.
Yeah,
basically.
they do. Yeah. So it would be maybe too easy, but it was the one that my brain went to.
I think when I was watching Finding Nemo, and I've never seen this movie, but I was thinking about An American Tale, like the story about the little mouse, the little Russian mouse who gets separated from his family when he's immigrating to America. There could be parallels there, but I was like, you know, Finding Nemo isn't really... It's a pretty apolitical movie, which is funny that we are putting it up against One Battle After Another. But, you know, it's still... There are still norms that it's impressing upon it's anthropomorphized fish culture, like public school and all these things. Like it's not completely apolitical.
Yeah, like vegetarianism.
Like alcoholism and that sort of thing.
Yeah. This is it. This is the end of our Oscar marathon. We're so happy to be celebrating One Battle After Another, the clear and decisive Best Picture winner.
Yes.
At the Oscars. It's been great. It's been a fun couple of weeks, but I am ready to be done talking about contemporary movies. I want to get back into talking about
Me too.
The oldies, and we got some interesting episodes coming up, I think. But before we can do that, it's time to find out what your hard ticket is going to go to. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what your hard ticket would go to. This is one of those episodes where I'm like, I don't know. So, Jeff, I would like to hear right now what your hard ticket is going to.
Yeah, I will say I thought it was going to go one way before watching these movies, and it went the other, actually.
Really?
I fully thought that I was going to go into this episode picking Finding Nemo as my hard ticket, because I really want to pick it as my hard ticket.
Yeah.
But this third time watching One Battle After Another is my third time watching it. I watched it last night before I drove up here. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I think I liked it even more. I think I've liked it more and more every single time I've watched it. It's just such a dense movie. I will defend it. I think it's a masterpiece. I really do. I think it's so indicative of the time. I think it's like it has the appropriate amount of discourse for a Best Picture winner, which it is. I don't know. I think rhythmically it works so well. I think it's filmically impressive. Just like all of its camera work is so intentional. All of its performances are phenomenal. The writing is incredible. I do think it has flaws. I do. I think there's weight to some of the criticisms about how the characters are written, the stereotypes. I don't think PTA nails everything he wants to juggle, but I do think what he's saying about this like perpetual conflict within society is more. I just think there's so much intentionality behind it. I think some people accuse him of missing the point by not taking a hardline stance, and I'm like, what stance? What exactly are you talking about here? Like
everybody's going to have a different interpretation of what stance they want him to take.
Yes, and I just don't think that's the point. I think the point is like the way that you go about fighting your fights is like arguably more important than the fight itself. Like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, going back to the immigration thing, I mean, he even points out like one of the Christmas Adventure Club members is upset that Lockjaw had his chicken like factory shut down because he relied on that immigrant labor to make money. So it's even just saying these systems that are in place, they benefit even the people who claim to hate them.
Yes. For that reason, it's going to be my hard ticket. I will say it was close. Finding Nemo has a little bit more of like the freneticism of a children's flick that ropes you in as a child and then you watch it as an adult and it doesn't have the same effect. I still think it's a classic. I think it's great. I think it holds up. I think there are some moments in it that are tender.
Yeah.
And lost in a lot of modern family entertainment too, that slow down, let a character feel, and you feel for them. And I think it takes some big swings. I think it goes to some dark places, and it's all the better for it. But it's going to One Battle After Another.
Yeah. Finding Nemo's great. And there's that moment that and I've thought back to it since I was a kid when they're sort of in this like veil of like silt. And then in the background, there's this gigantic whale approaching them and it swallows them. And I've always loved that sequence. It's very biblical. And, the idea of Marlon having to finally let go and sink into the bowels of this giant creature.
Yes.
Just as an act of faith. And that's a soulful sequence. And I do wish the rest of the film could kind of match that sort of metaphysical level that it's acting on there. But it is a classic. It was such a blast to revisit Finding Nemo because it's got to be over a decade since I last watched it. But it was one of those van movies. We used to drive a van with a DVD player, and I used to watch it, compulsively as a kid. My hard ticket also goes to One Battle After Another. I think for all the reasons we've been talking about here, it is a denser film. I like this idea of PTA focusing on the family, right? Because like that is such a loaded thing that's such a loaded focus nowadays. It gets sort of co-opted by one political side, and I don't think that's fair. I think community and family are important for everybody, and I think a movie like One Battle After Another being the sort of found family narrative, as well as like demonstrating the importance of community and of trusting your neighbors and that sort of thing. It's what we need right now. I think it sends a more powerful political message than some of the haters might be, alleging. So at the end of the day, One Battle After Another takes it. I think it was probably my, it's a top 3 2025 movie for me.
It is for me now.
I don't know where it ranks in PTA's filmography. I have not watched all the PTA films I've wanted to watch. Like I haven't seen Magnolia. I haven't seen Inherent Vice. But it's been, it's up there, I think. Like, it's not quite Boogie Nights, which is like, I think my favorite PTA.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, but it's a good one. And it's a worthy winner of the Best Picture Oscar 2025.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Hard Ticket. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, making our podcast look fresh. Thank you, Aaron Griffin, for mixing and mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly in a truly awful falsetto. You can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Hard Ticket Pod, all lowercase, all one word. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Jeff Blogus, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan.
Follow me on Letterboxd, Tristan Moore. You can follow me on Instagram at Tristan__less. And you can email the podcast, hardticketpodcast@gmail.com. The sweepstakes are over, but we love to hear feedback. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, if you're interested in pitching a matchup idea, reach out to us. We have a Discord. If you want to join that, then email us. I can send you a link as long as you're not a weirdo. Yeah, that's it. Those are my plugs.
Tune in next week when we talk about Vertigo, another classic, in conversation with When Marnie Was There. Little anime. That's our first anime.
It's our first anime. We're doing another live action animation matchup, though.
Oh, wow. We're onto something. Maybe we should do like 3 themed months in a row. But until then, we will see you guys at the movies.
It's a hard ticket at the movies. Which one will you watch? Let's decide.